Well, ceasefire negotiations in Qatar have resumed, with Israel indicating that talks could last another 2 weeks. The country's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, is facing growing criticism over his handling of the war against Hamas. That criticism coming from abroad and domestically. On Sunday, the families of hostages who are being held in Gaza protested in Tel Aviv. They accused the government of not doing enough to bring their relatives home. Well, Nawaf Al-Thani is a former Qatari Defence Intelligence Director. He joins us from Doha. Welcome to DW. Now, we know Israel has rejected Hamas's ceasefire proposal, though it has sent a delegation to Qatar to continue talks, even as Benjamin Netanyahu talks about launching a ground operation in Rafah. So how far are the two sides away from each other?
Well, thank you for having me, Phil. To be honest, right now things are very murky on the situation in Gaza, because we've got this new incursion into the Al-Shifa hospital and the threat of invading or land warfare on Rafah. Now, obviously, the Qatari and American negotiators, the sponsors of these negotiations, play this very close to their vests. So there are not a lot of details. But if we've seen what happened in the past, the Qataris remain optimistic. They remain hopeful that before the Eid celebrations, which will be in 3 weeks, that there may be a resolution to the situation right now, and hopefully a ceasefire.
And do you think that Israel wants to get its hostages back through diplomatic means rather than military? I've seen speculation that the Prime Minister would prefer to get the hostages back militarily rather than by negotiation, because a military victory would defeat Hamas, where a negotiated hostage return would allow Hamas to rearm.
Well, that is confusing, to be honest, Phil, because on net, the attempts by the IDF to rescue Israeli hostages have yielded more hostages killed than rescued. Yes, there were some attempts that had succeeded, but on net, again, more killed than rescued. On the other hand, the negotiations have released tens, over 100 of the hostages. So it is confusing to see that continuing to endanger the civilians and the hostages in Gaza seems to be the order of the day with the IDF. It probably may be driven by internal politics rather than global rationale to end the war and save the hostages and rescue, obviously, even the civilians who right now, and the numbers in front of me, over 31,000 killed and over 73,000 wounded. This is really a dire situation, and it is confusing.
Now, Hamas, of course, is looking for the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza and the release of prisoners from Israel. How likely are they to get what they want?
Well, what I can say is what has been already mentioned by, for instance, the Qatari negotiators. Qatar is pushing both sides, both the Israelis and Hamas, urging them to be at the negotiating table and to reach a resolution, not for any political goal for either party, but for the safety of the hostages and the civilian population of Gaza. Now, there are calculations on both sides. However, I think the ultimate goal must be something that all parties interested should push for, and that's what the Qataris have been doing and the Americans, who are sponsoring, again, these negotiations.
OK, good talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Former Qatari Defence Intelligence Director, Nawaf Al-Thani. Thank you.